Gabriel, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Yourselves? How you doing?
Very well. It's a big night here.
Yeah, man. TNT launching. Can't wait, man. Season's it's around the corner, so we're looking forward to it.
It's big, isn't it? It's big names about. It's been a wonderful night so far.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Didn't end that season on TNT Sports the way that we, who love Manchester United, would have hoped.
Yep.
Watching Manchester City win a treble. You even got stick from the Manchester United fans for being too complimentary about them. Ridiculous.
No, I think, listen, in my position as a pundit, you've got to be impartial, you've got to be honest, and you've got to kind of say what you see. That's my job. And if a team's playing supremely well and they deservedly win trophies like Manchester City did, I have to say what I see, and that's what I do. So, listen, if it was Man United, I'd have been screaming from the rooftops. I was just saying it about Man City. But, yeah, man, listen, I know fans get emotional about it, but I'm in a position where I can't afford to be that emotional. I do get carried away here and there. But, listen, if a team deserves praise, they deserve praise. That's simple as.
Yeah, they were dazzling, weren't they? There's no doubt about it. The Man City team were dazzling. But there is a reason why nobody has ever won 4 in a row. It's virtually impossible. You think of some of the glorious teams that you played in. They were wonderful. They were winning European Cups. But 4 in a row has never been done for a reason. Do you feel like this City team are about to make more history?
I think they'll do it, I've got to be honest. I think they do, unfortunately. I do think they'll do it. I think, and knowing Pep and speaking to him on numerous occasions, I know that he's a driven individual listen, the great teams, we had it as well. There's certain targets that get put up there in the change room before the season starts. A seed is put and placed somewhere very nicely for people, and that seed will be the four in a row that will be different. That will separate them from all the other teams.
Yeah. Do you feel like, we heard Luke Shaw talking very recently saying how much it hurt, that there really should be a seed planted in the Manchester United changing room for this season as well, stopping...
That's the seed, yeah. Stopping Man City. I hope it hurt. I hope it hurt all those players. I hope all those players couldn't look and watch the TV and couldn't watch the celebrations. I hope none of them watched it. I hope there was...
Do you think that's true? Do you think they did feel like that, though? Like, obviously you would have done, obviously your peers would have done, your Manchester United team that won 3 in a row would have done. Do you feel like that mentality exists in this Manchester United squad?
I hope that that's what the culture is being kind of set in place at the moment, that it should burn the hell out of their chests to see their City rivals being so successful and so good. It should inspire them to be better. It should inspire them to be more dedicated, to be more consistent, to bring about a culture that they can actually set in place, which actually puts them in a position to go and compete, or at least stop them winning. There has to be It has to be the remit this season, because Man United, these players haven't created history, but the club have history there that's set in stone that can be kind of taken away now. And that has to be something that you put up there. And Erik Ten Hag is going to look for something that's going to be that spike in his team, and that's something that gives his team that impetus to go out there and be consistent. And like I said, be aggressive, be dangerous to play against, hard to beat, hard to play against.
How encouraged are you by the first season that Erik Ten Hag had at Old Trafford? The summer that they're having, signing Mason Mount, Andre Onana, a new goalkeeper, Rasmus Højlund looks like he'll be the latest to the party, a young, exciting centre forward. Do you feel like they've got the ability to go and put pressure on the top of the Premier League this season?
I think they have to go and compete and be closer to the top of the table. That's, I think, the remit for me. To expect Man United from where they were when Erik Ten Hag took over to go and compete to win the league right now, I think is a stretch. But I think they need to be closer. I think that's improvement. I think that's what you want. You want to see the trajectory just move in the right direction and going up places. I think they just need to be closer, get their hands on another trophy again, and keep on improving the individuals and the collective. What I'm really pleased about is the transfer window. It's been decisive, it's been efficient, they've been effective in that. They've gone for particular players, they've got them, and I'm sure they wanted Kane. They quickly realised that they would have been priced out of the market, can't get him, move on, next target, who's in line? Gone and more or less got him now. So I really like that, and that's a difference to what we've been used to with Man United.
But it's a difference that we've been used to in Manchester United recently. Recently, it's quite rare that Manchester United sign a player that the manager necessarily even wants, or that they get their business done early. But the Manchester United that you know, and in fact you personally are an example of this, who's the best centre-half that we can go and get in the world? You know, they went and got you. Yeah. They went and got Rooney. Dwight York. They went and got Rooney. Yeah. Is there something, the Manchester United that I grew up with, would have signed Grealish. They would have signed Kane. Is there something slightly underwhelming about Rasmus Højlund rather than Harry Kane?
No, I just think that the other teams are stronger now. Man United could pick teams off a lot easier back in the day. But the other teams now have the resources to withstand that pressure from particular teams. And I think that the fact that Daniel Levy can say, listen, there's a price of Bayern Munich, but then there's another price of Man United now. It tells you where we're at. It's a very different landscape that we're in. So you have to appreciate and respect that. And Man United can't be the bullies that they once were. Man United, Sir Alex Ferguson. And you had Sir Alex Ferguson, by the way. That draw, for me, was as big as the club when I came to Man United.
Really?
To go and meet Sir Alex Ferguson and that he wanted me, the fact he even wanted me.
Because of who he was, or because of the words that he said when you met?
Who he was.
Just being an icon.
I'm telling my mates on the estate, I'm going to see Sir Alex Ferguson, by the way. He wants me. Like, do you know what that means? So to have that gravitas, to have that pull is very different to where Man United are at the moment. Pep's got that. Klopp had that for a period.
But the clubs had that stability. Liverpool, their successful period, which for all we know, they might be back this season and competing right at the top end of the table. Certainly the Manchester United that you played for. You posted videos earlier on in the year talking about the takeover at Manchester United. Even though they've signed good players, do you feel like the lack of clarity over the future and who owns Manchester United means that they weren't in the conversation for a Declan Rice, haven't been in the conversation as yet, and maybe probably won't be for Harry Kane, for example? Had we had that clarity earlier in the year, who knows?
No, I think financial fair play took care of who we could go in for, what end of the market we were going in for. It wasn't about who the owners were at that point. I think that the uncertainty surrounding the ownership isn't good for the club, isn't good for the fan base at all. And I think that needs sorting out. I think new owners right now, given the way that the fan base is at the moment, is needed. I just think clarity right now. I think a lot of the time we've asked for transparency from the owners and some real clarity as to their direction the club is going to be going in. The infrastructure, investment, etc. would be nice, but that hasn't been forthcoming, and that's been disappointing from my standpoint.
Can I ask you as well, we obviously know that you've got a soft spot for West Ham United.
Yes.
There's been a distinct lack of movement in the transfer window from them, particularly.
I've actually, before I came on it and I said to the lads I'm coming on, someone said to me, listen, you said about David Moyes should still be given the sack.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Come on, man.
You disagree?
They've won a European competition, man.
Does that not paper over the cracks? They got 40 points in the Premier League. They lost 20 games in the Premier League.
But it might say that actually we were focusing elsewhere because we had a real belief that we could win a European competition. How many managers have won European competition?
No, it's a very impressive achievement, but I think there's a ceiling with Moyes, and I think that they're really going to pay for backing him this year. Do you not think there's a world in which he could have won that trophy and then bowed out on a high? Because ultimately, in terms of being the manager for a Premier League campaign, he's going to struggle.
Yeah, but the only way that happens where he wins the European competition and bows out is if he says this time. I don't think the club could in any way, shape or form say, listen, thank you for that, but you've got to go, you're not good enough.
Do you know what, Rio? 6 weeks before West Ham won that trophy in Prague, they played away at Craven Cottage. There's a Moyes out banner in the away end.
Yeah, but he was an idiot, whoever put that out. Doesn't make it right, does it?
No, it doesn't make it right, but it means that the concerns that West Ham United fans were having haven't totally evaporated because they won European silverware, does it?
Listen, I don't think West Ham were great in the league. 20
games, 40 points is a bare minimum, isn't it?
But listen, man, you can't go away from the fact that they've gone into a European competition and won a Euro. Unai Emery is looked at like an absolute genius because he's won European competitions. Maybe not the conference, European Conference, I understand. But he's won European competitions outside the Champions League. There's something to be said about being able to do that. It's not an easy thing to do. So it says that he actually is a good manager. He's proved over years he's a good manager.
The lack of transfers this summer, though...
Yeah, that's a killer.
...is sending... listen, if everything you say about David Moyes is right, the club aren't sending the message of faith and belief
we don't know who
around David Moyes.
Is that down to David Moyes? Inability to
today we're talking about quibbling over £3 million for James Ward-Prowse.
But is that him or is that the recruitment and is that the owners? You need that clarity. Like, is that David Moyes saying, we shouldn't pay over the odds and 3 million is way too much and I don't want to do that, or I'm not sure if he's the right man and I'm not sure if I can make a decision? Is that David Moyes?
But if it's the owners, they're not backing him, and as we spoke to West Ham fans last night, they were saying back him or sack him. It's one or the other.
You can't sack David Moyes, man, after winning the
then back him, right?
You got. I believe they have to back him. Listen, you've got £105 million that you've just got for Declan Rice. Go and spend it, man. Go and gamble that and put it on people.
Do you know if Jared Bowen had hit the post in Prague? So fine margins of football. I appreciate that. This is the difference between winning and losing. But fine margins of football. If West Ham United had finished second on that night, do you think he would still be in a job now?
That's like saying if Mark Robbins doesn't score that goal for Man United, Alex Ferguson ain't there and doesn't do what he does.
No, but
it's if buts and maybes.
Okay, but there are lots of examples of managers. I mean, I can give you a good example. I was in Moscow. Manchester United won the European Cup. Chelsea were a reasonable paper. Chelsea less.
What a lovely night!
Sensational.
Soaked and freezing.
They were lucky to get a 1-1, to be honest.
Right, Chelsea were a reasonable paper away from winning that cup.
Yeah.
Had Chelsea won it, Avram Grant, one of the worst managers I've ever seen, would have won a European Cup. Had Chelsea won that, I still think Avram Grant should have been sacked as Chelsea manager. Is that wrong?
So do you think Roberto Di Matteo should have been sacked when he got sacked as well?
I think history has taught us that. I didn't, because I'm emotional about it. When it's Di Matteo, I adore Di Matteo. But I think history has taught us, if you look at how Di Matteo's career has gone as a manager since he left Schalke, you can kind of see why Chelsea got rid of him when they did.
Yeah, but maybe the fact that they got rid of him knocked his confidence and he never recovered. What about if you look at it that way as well?
Yeah, possibly. Do you think Moyes will have a good season at West Ham? Do you think he's the right man for the job?
I think he's the right man for the job right now, but you're only as good as your recruitment. And if you're not going to spend and back him, then he's down to he's being left on his own. He's going into a gunfight without bullets, and it's not fair.
Just want to talk to you
when you've just took 100 mil.
Yeah.
It's a big season for West Ham United. Big stories at the moment. I do want to talk about another London club, Tottenham Hotspur. We just spoke to James Maddison. He says he's really excited about linking up with Harry Kane. And at the same time, we're seeing Bayern Munich and their delegation flying to London to try and negotiate with Daniel Levy.
He's off.
You think so? Do you know what? The face that Rio Ferdinand just gave me, he knows a little bit more than he's going to...
I think he'll go, man.
You've been speaking to Harry?
No, I just think he'll go now. I just think it's gone that long. It's an ongoing saga. He wanted to go to Man City. He wasn't allowed. Unrest again. He's unfortunately for Spurs, unless the new manager comes in and does miracles and creates an unbelievable different culture and environment there that we've never seen at Spurs for many years. He's not going to win anything at Spurs. He's given his best years to that football club. He deserves to be able to go out and say, listen guys, thank you very much, let me go, and go and do something else. But you have to ask, the question lies with Harry Kane. Do you want to be the top goal scorer in Premier League history? Is that your goal? Is that your target? Or do you want to go and win some trophies that with a team to win the league, and potentially, if he went to Bayern, win the Champions League?
He could do both. I've worked out a system where he could do both. Go to Bayern Munich, do 2 or 3 years. You know the way Teddy Sheringham didn't win anything at Tottenham, went to Manchester United, won a treble, and went back to Tottenham for like a bit of a farewell swan song.
There's a lot of risk there for
47 goals it is, I think. He could get 47 when he's 34, could he?
34, so then he has to play till he's 36, 37. Possible, but it's a lot of if buts and maybes. I thought McElhenney break the England record easily. Injuries paid to that.
Would you like to see Harry Kane at Bayern Munich, or would you prefer him to move to another Premier League club, or even the likes of Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain?
Selfishly, I'd love him to stay in the Premier League. I want to watch the best players play in the Premier League. Harry Kane is that.
Is it slightly underwhelming, slightly uninspiring to go to Bayern Munich? Is a Bundesliga slightly underwhelming for Harry Kane?
No, I don't. Listen, when you go to the Allianz Arena, mate, you know this is an impeccable club, like one of the top clubs. The way it's run, the history, and it puts in prime time to be able to win the Champions League. That club are always there or thereabouts because the history tells you that.